What is up, guys? It's Jimbo here and welcome back to another video. In today's video we're going to cover everything you need to know about Rainbow Six Extraction. I've covered this closer to the first announcement last year, but we're only a few days away and I have lots of information to get through. Maps, enemies, operators and more. We're going to speed you through what you need to know before diving into launch day. Before we do that though, make sure you hit a like on the video, subscribe if you are new. We're trying to push towards 7.5k subs, and also come and check out the Twitch channel, twitch.tv/itsjimbo. Now, without further ado, let's jump into the game overview. To give a summary of the game, Rainbow Six Extraction is a first-person PvE survival experience in which you are fighting a deadly threat known as the Archaean. You will take on a variety of missions that you have unique objectives and will fight different Archaean, and you are trying to rid the contaminated zones from their presence. They're essentially like an alien species. You will have up to 18 different operators that have unique abilities, with more that are going to be added in additional content, which can help you succeed on the missions. But you also have upgrade pass if you like a particular style of gameplay from a particular operator. Extraction is taking the formula that is successful in Rainbow Six Siege and translating it to the PvE setting. You're going to be able to tackle this solo or co-op with two buddies, so grab two friends and jump in. Maps, difficulty and missions are going to be our next area to dive into. There are 12 unique dynamic maps in the game. They are divided into 3 zones each, which will provide a further 13 randomized missions. These will include rescue missions, sabotage, nest tracking, decontamination, and many more. The maps will be spread across different locations in the world, such as New York, New Mexico, Alaska. Each map will have a different feel to them and will also have another added layer of challenge. Each region has 3 maps and they are divided into subzones, so 4 zones altogether, which equals 12 maps. Then in each subzone you visit, you'll have the opportunity to discover new objectives to do and also have a different challenge in the way that you are going up against things. Each subzone completion will give you a chance to extract and get the progress for your operators. The higher risk of completing a map, the more rewards and experience you are going to get after. So if you do one room, you can extract straight away and be safe, but the higher that you go, the more risk and reward. The unique aspect of each subzone is that it will change, i.e. some of the maps will be indoors or outdoors, which will make for different combat situations. It will also randomize some of the enemies that spawn in different locations, so it's not that easy to figure out. And on top of that, you're going to have differentiating sprawl, which is an enemy in the game, which is something that I'll touch on in just a moment. Taking a quick look at the missions though, they can have different scenarios too. Specimen is, for example, luring a big enemy target back to a contamination plate in order to gather more information about the alien enemy. Likewise, triangulation tasks you with activating 3 different nodes in a short space of time. There are just a few examples of the mission types. Adding all of this together, the ability to destroy parts of the map, similar to Siege, makes for some different tactical approaches to objectives, but also makes each map different when you play. The sprawl, which I touched on earlier, is an added element of the Archaean, and it's a black goo-like substance which can have an effect on slowing you down, but also speeding up the Archaeans, so it's going to be something that you need to take out using your guns, your abilities, that type of deal. It also is randomized when it goes onto a map, so you won't have to worry about going up against it in a pattern formula, so it makes the unique experience of each map different with the sprawl. A quick note on difficulty: the higher difficulty you play on, the more progression you will get, but obviously the higher risk of failure. More enemies, harder enemies, more density of enemies being thrown at you, and if you do fail, you will lose access to that operator, but you will have an extra mission with a different operator to go and save them in an MIA rescue mission. So at least there's a way to save your friends even if you lose some. Let's talk about the enemies and the bad guys, the things that you will be shooting for a majority of this game. Most importantly, we're going to be having a variety of different enemies that will do different things. The first 2 enemies we have are the bloaters and the breachers. Breachers are your typical run up and explode on you type enemies. They can be knocked back. They can also knock through barriers, with their explosions, and they can do damage to the map. They can knock you back, and the bloaters are very similar. They will release a poison gas which is just as deadly. You will be able to knock these guys unconscious though, and use them as an advantage to kill the other Archaeans if you are strategic with it. The Soa is up next. They have heavily armored heads, so going a full-on headshot is going to be difficult work. They will scuttle around on the floor, leaving mines that are essentially flashbangs, which will cause you to go blind for a moment. This is very much similar to the Lurker. The Lurker has a unique ability to make himself invisible and enemies invisible as well, whilst also, liking to blend into the environment because of his skin color. He also has a weak spot on his head, but in order to kill it, you'll have to run up to it and melee attack them, because there will be a weak spot that is revealed in the center of its head. Don't hit it quick enough, and back to the shadows it will go, causing you more problems. Tanky enemies, you say? The Smasher is up next, the typical brute enemy, and has a ton of armor, and it can be taken out in a couple of ways. You can run into the back of it after being stunned, and then you can, stab it in the back and hit its weak point, or you can just go pure force with Sledge and Tachanka and absolutely rip through it. The Router is up next, and the Router hits you with ranged attacks, pinning you in place, which you don't want in this game. There are elite variants of all of these enemies that can lead to them calling on other enemies, but also make nests, and these nests you will have to act on quickly, because these nests will produce sprawl, which we talked about earlier, which will slow you down and obviously speed up your enemies. To round up the last of the enemies, we have the Spiker, which will fire ranged attacks at you, which will pierce through walls. Grunts, which they can overwhelm you, but they're very much cannon fodder. The Tormentor will move around the game as a blob of goo, pop up, hit you, and then scurry away. And then the cream of the crop is the Apex. The Apex is going to be especially difficult because it can spawn enemies and can throw blinding projectiles at you. It's got a lot of health, and it's going to be one of the top tier enemies that you'll go up against. The final really cool enemy is a Protean. This is a boss style enemy which can imitate an extraction operator and cause you a bunch of problems. So it could become Sledge, it could become Jaeger, it could become Alibi. There's a variety of different things that it could potentially become, which is going to be fun for different boss encounters. Now that that's out of the way, let's talk about the operators. Extraction wouldn't really be much of a Rainbow Six game if there wasn't any operators to play. There are 18 total at launch, which include Doc, Sledge, Ella, Capital, Tachanka, Finka, Pulse, Lion, Alibi, Smoke, IQ, Gridlock, Nomad, Rook, Fuse, Jaeger, and Hibana, with more to be added in post-launch. We'll be making a separate video going through each of these operators in the future when the game launches, and they will basically, to give you a quick summary here, each of them will have different progression paths, each of them will have different weapons, similar to what we've seen in Siege. They will also have abilities very similar to what they have in Siege as well. Sledge, for instance, has a massive hammer that can actually stun things, and then Hibana has explosives, Doc can heal. Likewise, they also have the different weapons that we've spoken about before. Tachanka has the SAG G12, but also he has his big LMG, the MX SMG for the Alibi, are just a couple of different examples. The operators also have an access to a few new tools, such as react abilities. Glue grenades are able to stop Archaeans in their track. Arc mines can quickly stop enemies from coming around corners. Field walls will block enemy projectiles. React light can help you see the bioluminescence of the alien enemies through walls and such, so you can plan your attack. And then the scan mine can provide additional info on enemy locations if you are not looking in a particular direction. So that's all we have on the operators. I would like to go in a little bit more depth with them, but this video is pushing on 10 minutes long, so I don't really want to spend too much time going into that. Finally, when it comes to the game, we're going to talk about the endgame and post-launch content. Once you've mastered the game and made your way through the progression, there is a weekly challenge mode called the Maelstrom Protocol. This will allow you to take fully upgraded operators, of which you will choose 9, and make your way through 9 different subzones that get progressively harder as you go through, giving out more rewards and higher progression for getting there. If you rank high enough, you will get some cool exclusive high tier cosmetics for finishing in the diamond class. Then we have some crisis events, which will be limited time events that can give new rewards and give you access to different enemies to fight, and also a brand new operator to use that isn't on the roster currently. Add to this assignments, which are different modifiers to complete, such as a veteran mode, which has friendly fire and also limited ammo but no HUD. There's going to be a lot of stuff to look forward to when it comes to post-launch content, even if you're only going to play this for a little bit. All post-launch content in Extraction is free, so no need to worry there. Alongside earning cosmetics and credits and operators and more, Extraction is going to be around for a little while. But let's talk about launch details. We've waited until right now to talk about them. If you're thinking about trying out Extraction, there is a buddy pass system which supports cross-play and also the ability to invite two friends who don't own the game. So if you own the game, they can play the game for up to 14 days with you. This will allow you to get enough time with the game and decide if you want to make a full purchase or your friend does. This could also mean you could split the price for the game 3 ways in the beginning if you want to save yourself some money. Or, likewise, you can get it on the Xbox Gamepass for PC and console, and it will be free on there as part of the subscription, so why not? The game will be launching on the 20th of January for Xbox, PC, and the PS platforms with full crossplay, and I hope you're going to check the game out. But that's all we have time to talk about in today's video, talking about Rainbow Six Extraction. I'm excited to jump in and try it out. It's a different, unique spin on the genre of Siege, so it'll be a little bit of fun. I plan on doing some videos on it, hopefully, talking about some different operators, potentially. So stay tuned for that. And as always, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you like on it, subscribe if you are new, turn on that notification bell, and check out my Twitch channel, twitch.tv/itsjimbo, where we will be streaming this when the game launches next week. But as always, this has been It's Jimbo, and I will see you guys next time.